Anyway, here to break this all down for us, Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett, along with the editor-in-chief, investigative reporter, justthenews.com, John Solomon, and former acting attorney general Matt Whitaker is with us. Thank you all. All right, we now have the FD 1023 form, John Solomon, and you have written extensively on this. And we have a trusted FBI informant. They paid him hundreds of thousands of dollars in the past. Hunter is hired by Burisma to use his father to help protect this company from the investigation that was ongoing. Even though they thought he was dumb and stupid and dumb as a dog, their words. So what really went on here?
Well, listen, when this document comes in, it's no different than when the Steele dossier first came into the FBI in 2017. It's known as unverified intelligence from a reliable source. Up until the time Christopher Steele gave the crap on Donald Trump, he had been reliable. We later learned that was a bad piece of information. In this case, the FBI started to look into it. Let me tell you what they found. The first thing you do is there any evidence that money changed hands to the Biden family? Yes. They found millions of dollars flowing to Hunter Biden at a pace that would be consistent with a $5 million payment. Secondly, they started to look. Was Joe Biden ever referred to in any other documents they had as the big guy? Yes, they found that in the China deal. They started to look. Did Hunter Biden ever say that his father did something for Burisma? Yes, they found him in documents that they had in their possession going back to 2016. They had begun corroborating this informant's information. It moves from uncorroborated, unverified to a point where it justifies investigation. At that point, the FBI stood down on the evidence on this, and the 2020 election occurred. This has not been thoroughly investigated, but what we do know, there's a significant trail of evidence that actually verifies the things that this informant did. You're going to get to see some of that over the next weeks. One of the questions that has always stood out, did Joe Biden ever meet with Burisma officials? I think next week we're going to get that answer.
Okay, let's go over the top 10 findings that you put up on your website. Let me ask Matt Whitaker about it. Let's go over some of them anyway. And Burisma Holdings hired Hunter to have his father protect the company. That has been revealed. Burisma feared Shokin's probe would stop its efforts to get publicly traded in the U.S., so there was a lot of money on the line. Burisma knew that Hunter Biden had no experience. They thought he was dumb, and they sought additional counsel. The CHS believed the payments made to the Bidens illicit in nature. Burisma executives, anyway, it's not happening. Yeah. Anyway, we'll put it up on the screen in a minute. But, there are so many allegations here. I'm trying to understand, Matt, how is it the FBI had all this information for a long period of time and didn't act on any of it? How is it they allowed the statute of limitations to pass? How is it that agents, IRS whistleblower agents, had to come out and tell us the truth and risk their life and career, and an FBI agent had to do the same? How come it took them to expose this truth?
Well, Sean, based on everything we now know, it's very clear to me that the FBI lacked an interest and a curiosity in actually pursuing these criminal investigations, both against Hunter Biden and against Joe Biden. And the question is why? And who decided that there was no curiosity or desire to investigate these to the fullest extent of the law? And, this Shokin firing has always troubled me because of he was investigating Burisma for criminal acts. Joe Biden leverages $1 billion of United States taxpayers' dollars to get him fired, and the investigation against Burisma, who Hunter Biden is very closely associated with, goes away. I mean, that in and of itself should make the FBI want to get to the bottom of this and run it to ground. But as John describes, they just decided not to. And I think that's beyond malpractice when it comes to criminal investigations.
All right, let me go over this with you, Gregg Jarrett, and let's talk about the legal aspects. So Burisma hires Hunter to have his father protect the company. Burisma feared that the prosecutor's probe would stop the efforts to get publicly traded in the U.S. That's a lot of money. They're paying a fortune to Hunter. They know Hunter's dumb and has no experience. The CHS believed the payments made to the Bidens were illicit in nature. Burisma executives believed they had coerced They were coerced into paying and hiring Hunter. Zolochevsky bragged that he had covered his tracks on the Biden payments. The FBI received a lead involving cryptocurrency. The FBI knew that Joe's associates called him the big guy. The FBI began receiving information on the Bidens as early as 2017. Can you explain what's going on at the Department of Justice and the FBI?
Corruption, cover-up, protection racket. You know, we've reported, Sean, for years that Joe Biden's infamous brag in which he threatened Ukraine into firing the prosecutor investigating Burisma looked very much like bribery and extortion because Hunter Biden was on the company's payroll pocketing millions for doing nothing except exerting his father's influence. Now, whether Joe received any of the cash payments, that's irrelevant under the law. It's a crime to use your public office as vice president to confer a benefit on a foreign government, $1 billion in financial aid, in exchange for something of value to your family, money. It's called bribery, conspiracy, violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. And take a look at that term coercion in the 1023 form. That supports extortion. But that's not all. We also know that the money paid was funneled through a complex web of shell companies. Well, that smacks of money laundering, tax fraud, not to mention racketeering. So the question is, were the Bidens selling out their country? Well, it sure looks like it, doesn't it? Remember, bribery and treason are impeachable offenses in addition to being felonies. So, you know, this is a blockbuster scandal that could doom Biden's presidency.
We'll give the last question to John Solomon. Next week, Devin Archer, the partner of Hunter Biden, part of the family syndicate, is going to be apparently testifying. What can we expect, John Solomon?
I think we'll get some data points about when Joe Biden did intervene to assist Hunter Biden's comments. And I wanted to point out one thing tonight. The White House is staking their defense tonight on the 2019 impeachment trial testimony. I encourage everybody to bone up on that because next week, after many years of litigation in FOIA, we're going to release a lot of documents. We'll see how well the impeachment testimony of 2019 and 2020 holds up when people see these new documents.
All right, John, great reporting. Matt, great analysis. Greg, great legal analysis. Thank you both.